it is. It's a long way to go, but it's just unbelievable what it could look like and will look like.
Looks a hell of a lot better than the old veneer plant laying on its side back there for a long time.
Yeah, that's no question about that.
All right, it's 4 o'clock according to my watch, so we're going to start the meeting. Does our computer guy have to do anything?
Travis, is YouTube up? It's showing live.
Yes, the YouTube's up.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Yeah,
great. Okay, I'll call the meeting to order at 4 o'clock. And I'll read the land acknowledgement. First, we respectfully acknowledge that the county of Haliburton is located on Treaty 20 Mississauga territory and the traditional territory of the Mississauga and Chippewa nations, collectively known as the Williams Treaties First Nations, which are Curve Lake, Rama, Hiawatha, Alderville, Scugog, Beausoleil, and Georgina Island First Nations. We acknowledge the shared presence of Indigenous nations throughout the area and recognize its original Indigenous inhabitants as the stewards of its lands and waters since time immemorial. Motion to adopt the agenda, unless somebody doesn't want an agenda today. Moved by Adele, seconded by Paul. Okay. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Any conflicts of interest today? Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. It consists of the draft minutes of September 10th and the September 25th circulation by branch statistics. Would anybody want to deal with any of these separately? Seeing none, could I have a motion, please, to adopt the consent agenda? Moved by Walt, seconded by Lisa. Thank you. All in favor? Motion carried. All right, now we're going to go into the financial reports. I'll turn it over to Andrea.
Okay, so just a couple of things I wanted to highlight on the financial report today. The first one being under expenses, the vehicle parts, repairs and maintenance. The budget in 2025 for that line was $2,300.
What page are you on?
Page 1.
Page 1, okay.
Midway down there.
Okay.
And so we have gone over budget. We're 2,511 on this form, but in fact we needed to have the brakes redone. So we got an invoice this week. So it doesn't actually appear on the financial report yet. But with the parts and the labor, it comes to $2,156.88.
That's a really good reason to go over budget. Thank you.
Yeah, so it's we had to take it in and get it fixed. So it is something to flag A for now, and then B for when we get to our budget discussion later in the meeting.
Yep.
I did slightly increase the budget for next year, but we may want to talk about if the maintenance costs, if we want to allocate more in the 2026 budget for maintenance.
Okay.
That's the first thing. And then second item 2. So on page 2, just at the very end, the last line before total expenses hardware.
Yep.
So we had budgeted $25,000 for that.
Yep.
We are at not quite 19,000. And just to highlight, we are in discussion with the IT department about replacing our Minden and Dysart public photocopiers.
Yeah.
So those haven't been paid for yet. So, but we are working with them to get a replacement.
Okay.
So we're hoping that we can still get it in by the end of this budget year.
Good.
Because we have put the money in for that. They're not perfect.
Paul has a question. Go ahead.
Just curious about the vehicle maintenance costs. It was my understanding that the county garage looked after oil changes and tire swaps.
They do. So,
So is that billed through the county?
it's
then
built
back
through the
to us?
county, so we get it billed back. So there's part of it is for Ford, for the parts that they had to buy, and then part of it is the late 5 hours labor.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any other questions on the financial report? Seeing none, could I have a motion to move and second, please? Moved by Adele, seconded by Paul. All in favor? Motion carried. Thank you very much. Now the demographic information, this is data is here because Paul requested it at the last meeting. If you want to take us through it, Andrea, quickly.
Just during our discussions about.
Paul, did you want to say anything?
No, I have brain fade right now. I don't recall, but I guess I did.
Apparently you did.
I think it was Jen who had requested it.
Well, Jen requested the breakdown. I
Okay.
think he requested the ratio for population.
Yeah, I remember Paul
Okay.
Yeah.
asking.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So this is just to provide information. So I did go back to a report that we had made when we were looking at creating a Dorset branch in the first place. I had pulled at that time data from Watson and Associates for a presentation that they made for to county council and also to staff. So I went and we had permission at the time to use that data. So I went back to that report and pulled the information. So to respond to the question, I did put it into a chart with the help of the team, and we broke it down for each municipality, the number of permanent residents, seasonal residents, total permanent seasonal residents, and keeping in mind this is just estimated data. So what Watson and Associates did was pull information from Statistics Canada and from other sources. They're just estimates, and they're from based a few years ago. We're very much looking forward to getting the 2026 census data. So what this chart does is it breaks down for the population, number of open hours per municipality, the staff time per municipality, and then it's broken apart into hours for per 1,000 permanent residents. That's on page 2. And then on page 3, the number of open hours and the population are broken down into percentages. So that's the ratio information.
Interesting data. Thank you very much. Any questions on this? Seeing none, I have a motion. Be it resolved that the Haliburton County Public Library Board accepts the Dorset branch. Oh, sorry, wrong one. I don't know if I have that motion for that one, do I?
We might actually not have a motion. It was just for
Yeah, that's right.
information.
Yep,
So I
yeah.
think it's.
Okay, no
Yeah,
motion
we
on
don't need a
that.
motion.
No motion, no questions. That's good. We'll move on to the one I was going to read, the Dorset one. Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm all ready for you when it comes.
Okay, so this is part 2 of the results for the Dorset branch open hours survey. So at the last 4 meeting, as we just mentioned, there was a request to pull the data out a little further to look at the differences between full-time and seasonal residents. And then look into a suggestion for when those 4 hours would be distributed to Dorset that was approved in last month's budget or month's meeting. So the first 2 pages are just the survey results. We did get a lot more full-time responses than the seasonal responses.
Can I ask something just for a second? Where do you get the names of the seasonal residents involved in the survey?
Like the people that responded. So we just put it out in the community with paper surveys and digital surveys. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So it was whoever responded
Okay.
to it. So just overall, the trends that from pulling this data out further, what we found is 53% of full-time residents found that the current hours, which means no evenings, do not meet their needs. Whereas 28% of seasonal residents responded that the current hours do meet their needs. And this is reflected again in the fact that most of the seasonal residents, when asked when they visit the library, it's most often Fridays and Saturdays.
Yeah.
So it does make sense that
Yeah.
they are more happy with the current hours
Yeah.
than not. 96% of the full-time residents did respond that they would or maybe would use a later opening hours. And 72% of seasonal residents responded that they would or maybe would use later opening hours. So overwhelmingly, both of them did respond that they would use evening hours if available. As for what day to make the evening shift or hours open, and there was no consensus. It was pretty spread across the weekdays. So for our hours recommendation, what staff is recommending is that we would open for those 4 approved hours for an evening shift on Thursdays. So that would be 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. The reason for this is, one, we currently are not open on Thursdays, so it would allow us to just pop in a 4-hour shift without having to move any of the other hours that we know people enjoy. And then also we know that the Dorset transfer station is open winter hours and summer hours during this period. So then people would be able to visit the transfer station and use the library at the same time. So those are our rationale.
Questions? Seeing none, I have a motion. I'll read it.
Oh, there's a question.
Oh, Jen, sorry, I didn't see your hand.
Yeah, thanks. No, I just wonder if we could just pause for a moment just to absorb collectively the information. And, you know, I guess my question would be, you know, in the trends, you say that the seasonal residents favored Fridays and Saturdays, which does make an awful lot of sense. You did choose to put it on the Thursday, and I understand the rationale that you're tagging it to other events, but the full timers also said pretty strongly that Saturday morning works for them. And so when I was not analyzing it in my mind before I got to your trends part of the report, it seemed to me like a Saturday morning opening would meet the most needs from both sides of the camp. So could you maybe just take us back and talk about why not a Saturday, for example?
We already do have a Saturday opening hour, and it is 10 to 3. So we already have a Saturday opening hour. So
I see.
Where to put that evening part. Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So this wasn't just the additional hours. All right. I'm sorry. I haven't memorized all the opening hours. Okay. Okay. That makes sense then. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Jen. Lisa, did you have your hand up? Okay, great. So I have a motion. I'll read it. Be it resolved that the Haliburton County Library Board accepts the Dorset Branch open hours survey results, part 2 report for information, and furthermore directs the staff to proceed with adding a weekly 4-hour branch shift on Thursdays from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the Dorset Branch starting in January 2026 as recommended in this report. And I assume that money is in the budget.
So it's in the revised budget
Yeah.
that we'll look at this afternoon.
Okay. Have a motion on that? Adele, anybody who would like to second it? Walt, thank you, Walt. All in favor? Motion carried. Thank you very much.
May I ask a question?
Of course you can.
Do you foresee, based on any kind of employee gapping, that there might be room in this year's budget to start that 4-hour shift earlier than January? I know you might not be able to answer that right
I don't know
now.
if I could answer that right now. We have put up our job postings.
Mhm.
They are, yeah.
Would that be a consideration, Livia, if there was some room available in the budget?
Consider it.
Okay.
We'll report back. Okay.
Oh.
Thank you very much. The next item deals with the Dorset Branch maintenance update. Andrew, you're going to give us just a quick verbal on that?
Okay, yes, so Algonquin Highlands, maintenance staff have been busy working on the repairs, inside the Dorset branch. So we, will be keeping the branch closed throughout next week. The programs, as the press release noted and, notice to the board noted that we've, kept the programs, but moved them to the lower level of the meeting room. Staff have been super flexible and have moved, or we had one staff member work here today, so we rearranged schedules. And I just want to do a thank you to Hillary and Patricia and Tessa and Shauna. There's been a lot of logistical work and communications work that has gone into this. So thank you to them, and thank you, of course, to the Algonquin Highlands staff for working quickly to address the
Good.
issue.
Great.
Yeah.
Paul?
Is the issue restricted to the library only, the library portion of the building, or has there been a problem elsewhere in the building?
Yeah, it is only impacted the library or the water.
The
unit.
lower, yeah.
Yeah.
Adele,
So all the staff are being reassigned elsewhere. They're not losing any pay because of
They're not
this?
losing pay unless they didn't wish to work at a different location.
okay, thank you very much. Item 8.3, the library board staff evaluation process.
Right, so I'm happy to say that we
Get ready, here it comes.
we have put the self-evaluation, the board self-evaluation form online. Thanks to Tessa who put it all into an online form. So we'll send this out to board members by email tomorrow. We ask that you complete the survey by 2 weeks from tomorrow. We will so the data is anonymous, but it will track who has filled in and who has not, because we'll be sending it to each of you.
Yep.
So please fill it in. We'll follow up with you if we haven't received your response.
And you will collate all the data and
We
present,
will put it all together.
you'll bring it to the board
and
when
bring
you're
it to the
ready?
board, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Any questions on that? Have fun evaluating ourselves.
It will be less fun collating all that. So thank you for doing that.
Lots of numbers floating around. Thank you very much. All right, we're going to go to the budget now, the draft 2026 budget.
Okay,
And we are going to appear at county council sometime, I guess you and I.
we've been invited to the county council meeting on October the 22nd to
Okay.
present the library budget.
Okay. Today
the
budget's in the agenda.
Sorry, what's that?
I just said the budget's in the agenda, so just follow along with it as we
The
go.
agenda package.
Yeah, okay.
And the goal will be that we leave here today with the version of the budget that we're going to take to the county council on October 22nd.
And I have a motion all ready to go when you're done.
So what we're gonna do, so a lot of it is the same as it was last month. I'm just gonna run through the notes column to highlight some different things. And then if you have any questions as we go, please feel free.
Okay.
So I want to highlight, first of all, that the provincial funding, the public libraries operating grant, has not increased for many, many years. And so what this means is that because that doesn't increase, the amount that is funded by the tax levy increases because the provincial funding does not increase. The next thing I wanted to highlight is on line 25, transfer from reserve. In the previous version of the budget that I sent out in September, the amount on there was $25,000. I have since connected with the IT department head, and the amount that we'll need to use for replacing computers and laptops on the rotation, we have an asset management rotation, will be a little less than $18,000. So I have changed that in two places. Number one, on the transfer from reserve line on page 2, and then on the last page where it says purchases hardware, it's also changed there. So that's being reduced from the September draft based on that different information.
Thank you.
The next item I'd like to highlight is on the second page of that. So it's the section that's all in yellow on the second page. As per the direction we received at the last board meeting, I have added 4 additional weekly hours for Dorset into that budget. The amount for doing so it was added to a specific person's line in the budget. So the way it was calculated from the finance department is that it adds $7,463 to the wages and benefits to add that for additional weekly hours. So that has been incorporated. And then again, we talked about it last time, but just to reiterate that other than the 4 hours that we've just added, there's no additional hours in the 2026 budget that weren't in the 2025 budget, except for the Dorset hours, which you've just asked us to add. Other items, so just one more thing to flag on this page. The employee recognition line is up by $100 because we have more employee milestones in 2026 than in 2025. I'm moving to the next page of the spreadsheet. We did increase the office supplies line. The cost of toner keeps on increasing, and that is a big proportion of what we spend that budget on. We also do expect some increased costs from our website. The team who updates our website with security and development work. And so the next thing is what I was hoping to get your opinion on, the vehicle parts and repair. So I mentioned earlier that I think we underestimated in 2025 a little bit for parts and maintenance. I did increase it by $700 for the 2026 budget. We could just keep it at $3,000, and then if it goes over next year, we could take it from reserves, or I leave it to you if you'd like to increase that amount at this time.
Okay.
The next thing I wanted to flag is just the automation line. As we are going into a census year in 2026, the amount that we're charged for automation, so this is the amount that we pay for our library systems. We're part of a consortium, and it is based on our census data. So should we see a big increase in the 2026 census data for the following year, that may change, but that's not a note for 2026. It's just a flag for the future. We have received a notice from our vendor who processes our library materials that they're increasing the processing costs in 2026. So that is a line that has gone up by $2,000. The programming line, I have just kept the same at $8,000. What this means though is with inflation, it actually means a reduction in the amount of supplies that we can purchase. Of course, we would love lots more money in there, but I know that we're trying to trim costs. So
Good. Thank you.
the insurance increase, that's provided by county finance. And then if we skip over to the final page, there's a number of costs that are provided by finance. We've got a Dysart office rental increase, and the $18,000 adjusted for the replacement laptops and computers. So that is where the budget is at right now.
Great.
Any comments, questions?
Adele, you have a question, then Jen, then that's it so far.
Okay,
And then Paul.
I do have a question on the biggest ticket item, of course, and that is wages and benefits.
Yeah.
You said that 7,000 is attributable to the Dorset 4 hours. Where do we get the other approximately $100,000 increase?
So there's the step increases for staff for each year. There's the cost of living increases for staff each year. There's the Dorset hours. And then if you look at the columns in that section, you'll note that some of the columns that previously had numbers in them, such as the sick line, and then if you go back a little bit further, the stat holiday line, float, those costs, the cost for part-time staff, Their paid sick days and their personal emergency leave days
Mhm.
are now factored into the wages line at the top. So that's why it looks so much larger.
Right.
You can see in, like, the sick line, for example, is down by 21,488.
Right, like I've taken the 105 minus the 21 plus the 24. And then subtracted the 7 for Dorset, and we're about 100,000 more. So I just want to confirm with you and for all of us so that we understand. So there's no more bodies
No.
in the system, and there's
No.
no more hours in
No
the
more
system.
positions, no more-
It's just, it's.
Except for the Dorset hours, which
Right.
we just added. Yeah.
So I just want to confirm that it's just costing us more
So
because of step increases, benefits,
living.
cost of living, et cetera. Okay, so we're
It's the
not,
way it's calculated, and so our part-time staff are using their sick days and
Yeah.
they're using their personal emergency leave days.
yeah,
And so they had access to those days before, now they're using them, and so they need to be reflected in the wages.
Of
So that we
course.
don't go.
sure.
over.
I just want so that we're all clear that you're not hiring more staff.
No.
And it's basically something out of your control. Is that right?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
the way that it's been calculated.
Yeah,
it's
and
the
the
same
other thing is that
before.
this,
Okay.
this process or this decision or logic applies universally across the
Yes.
county to all departments, all staff. It's not just us.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, good. Jen, shoot.
Thanks, Adele. You covered what I wanted to confirm as well. Are these notes going to be presented to County Council as part of your presentation, or are these just private to the board and viewers?
For our discussion today, to kind of track the things that we might want to discuss. They don't need to be part of that discussion. I don't think we would include them unless you would like to request otherwise.
No, it's just that if they were to be included, I would absolutely want to see, written up front, X number of the X percent of the increase is due to step wages, etc., as as universally applied, and Y percent is due to changes within our manageable control, including 4 additional weekly hours for Dorset. Because what we do see is, Dorset, 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 it's mentioned sort of all the way through the notes, and it kind of gives the impression that we're blowing the budget, and we're really, really not. So long as the presentation is abundantly clear how much of the almost 10% increase is out of our control and how much is board decision is really critical. And that's, let's not bury the lead at all.
We'll make sure that we present it that way, Jen. Don't worry.
Yeah, great.
Just to reiterate, so the payroll budget from the finance department, the increase for 4 hours, for these 4 hours weekly in Dorset is $7,463.
Right.
Okay. Any other questions, Paul?
Just a question about the vehicle, the van. I wondered, it's 2 years old now, is it? I think,
Yeah.
yeah,
Fall 2023, yeah.
and so the approximate mileage incurred each year, is it like 30 to 40,000 K with all the deliveries that we make around the county? I don't like to do some work, I'm just curious. It's a little offhand.
It'll be a document.
It'll be a lot, Paul.
As it ages, another couple of years, there'll probably need to be some more repair funds allocated for it. So I just thought, mention
It'll
it.
be time for new tires pretty soon.
Well, yeah,
We did purchase for winter tires.
Yeah.
And,
okay,
Okay, no other questions? Oh,
we will have to.
Lisa? Go ahead.
Don't want to be the meanie in the room, but I will say that I appreciate that the percentages are based on the fact that, their steps, the cost of living, et cetera, natural increases. But I'm also going to tell you that this is not going to be sustainable within the county and our budgets at local municipalities and the county alike. It's, Yeah, it's kind of it's quite frightening to me, and I think you're probably going to get a little bit of pushback at county. So I just want you to be prepared for that. Something will have to probably change someplace.
Thanks for the heads up.
Yeah.
And Cease, go ahead.
Yeah, I think I kind of echo what Lisa's saying. The big question is going to be, and I'm not sure how we're going to handle it, is obviously the large increase in labor. And I recognize without question that it's outside of our control. But if we were going to deal with that and say, okay, we want to bring that down to zero, how many people would we be looking at on letting go? Because that would not be 2 or 3. That would be like a whole flock.
I mean, well, yeah, it would be 23-ish people working at the library. So, yeah, I think it depends on the changes that the board would decide to make. Yeah.
People would lose their jobs.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cease, I can't put a number on it, but it would be a lot of people.
That's my fear, is that at the end of the day, the last time we end up with a budget increase, they basically not only did not give us an increase, they made a reduction. And
Yeah.
I'm kind of not comfortable with that whole scenario. I think it's going to get pretty robust, if you wish, for the lack of a better word. And there could be some situations where we may have to just get them to make a decision on what they want us to do. Do they want us to just basically close up shop, or because we can't sustain it with a bunch of people that's missing? It just doesn't work. And then we get into who goes where and how do we check this. And I mean, it is what it is, but at the end of the day, I mean, it goes back to the same thing that everybody else has dealt with, is that the province is not coming to the table with any money. And that leaves us with the problem of who's going to pay for it. And that only leaves us. So
And
it'll be a tough discussion when you present it. I'm sure of that.
I think it'll be a tough discussion, and it won't be just the library that's implicated, it'll be the whole county. Because you just can't single out the library and say, you're not getting anything for step increases or anything like that. Library, go away and deal with it. The whole county is going to have to deal with that issue, I would think, to be fair. Jen?
Yeah, I mean, I would echo that. I fully understand what Lisa and Cesar are saying, but if Public Works was up 150,000 due to step increases, we wouldn't be talking about who to remove out of Public Works in order to balance the budget. We'd simply increase the levy. That's it. There's, you know, we don't do that. Last year we did it at the library out of measures that were forced upon us, but it's not the traditional way that the county works, is by letting people go so that we don't have to pay their step increases. I think that's hopefully never going to be suggested. And if it did, echoing David, that would be the policy. Then I would like to see them squirm over for the rest of the county, and I don't think they would do it.
No,
So I think there's a bit of defense that has to happen here.
Yep, I agree. Cease, I think you had your hand up. Yep, okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting that we cut anybody. What I'm suggesting is that is the recommendation that is going to come from those on council who are not part of the board.
Yes.
And that would mean that we basically would shut down the library system for all intents and purposes. So that leaves us with the strong argument of how do we support all of this? Not trying to say anything is more important or less than the other, but we pretty well know that there's going to be some people who are just going to say that that the increase is too much. So we need to be able to be prepared for that as if we're going to support this budget. And I mean, we're stuck with it. So I'm not interested in closing all kinds of stuff or laying people off. We either in the library business or we're not.
We're not, and thank you for that.
Yeah.
The only increase in this budget is the 4 hours at Dorset, basically, that's it. And cost of living increases. It's got nothing to do with us embellishing or growing the library staff and size and what we do. It's just the way the process works, and there's nothing we can do about it. I think we have to give this budget to county council, and let's deal with it there. No other questions? I have a motion. be it resolved that the Haliburton. Who?
Yes.
Oh, see, sorry, you still have a question?
No, I had a question.
Well, I just got a comment. I'm just going to say, like, I don't disagree with what you're saying, David, but what I'm saying is that there's going to be a robust discussion over this. And the answer is going to probably come back to us that even though we have not increased anybody other than the 4 hours, they're going to be looking for how do you get rid of $100,000 worth of excess labor costs,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
we have no control over. And so
Yeah.
it's going to be a robust discussion. I'm sure of it. And I'm prepared to defend this to the nth degree. So we'll see where that goes.
Okay, thank you, appreciate that. Walt, go ahead.
Yeah, just quickly, I think you gotta understand that it's not just the library and like what Lisa and Cease have been trying to say. We've got some really big decisions to make here coming up this year, just like we do every year, but it just seems like they're getting every department, the needs factor is getting bigger and bigger. If that sums it up pretty simply. So that, like Cease just said, and Lisa, they'll be taking a hard look at it for sure. So I just want to make you aware of that. Thank you.
Thank you, and I would expect nothing else from the county. We'll have a good discussion.
Thank you.
Raj. Thank you. Okay, I have a motion, be it resolved that the Haliburton County Public Library accepts the October 8th, 2025 draft 2006 HCPL budget as presented. And furthermore directs the CEO, Chief Librarian to present this draft budget to County Council to request funding from the tax levy. I won't put a date in there because it's not in the motion, but you've heard when we're going to take it.
It's October 22nd.
Okay, moved by Adele, seconded by Paul. Okay. All in favor? Carried.
We asked against as well.
Oh, okay. All in favor? Hands up. Opposed? Nobody opposed?
I'm in favor of presenting it there, but I'm not in favor of passing it. Of course, right now we have to. There have to be a lot of work. Like I just said there's a lot of areas that we're going to be looking at this year, especially. So we want me to keep my hand down, fine, but I'm not. I want you to come to council with it. That's what I'm approving. To see, I'm not approving it to approve it. I just want you to realize that.
No, I agree. This motion just gets it before county council. That's all.
That's what I had my hand up for. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Any comments from around the municipal roundtable? Anything that four of you want to tell us about? Lisa? Shoot.
Just that actually a member of council who is in Minden Hills and not at the county has been following up with the library board as well. And she had made a comment to our staff that some of the Minden stuff is way behind and we recognize it needs to get dealt with sooner than later.
That's on the property upgrades, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. Anything else? Okay, seeing none, I have a motion, be it resolved that the October 8th, 2025 regular meeting of Haliburton County Council Library Board now adjourned. Next meeting date is November 12th. May I have a motion to adjourn, please? Cease. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We are adjourned at 4:38.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.
So the next meeting is November
12th.
Okay, thank